everybody. Thank you for joining me for book study. If you don't know me, my name is Madeline Travis. This is Owen. You might be joining me a little bit. So let's get into it. We're going over chapters 13 and 14 of The Power of One More by Ed Mylett, who we get to see in person in less than a month, and I'm super excited about that. So chapter 13 was one more multiplier. And this chapter covered what makes a great team and how the right people, those who bring out the best in others, can multiply impact. So let's talk a little bit about how we can lead with chemistry, challenge ourselves, and show up as multipliers. Ed says that a great team chemistry produces a multiplier effect. So my question is, when has being part of a team brought out the best in you, and what made that team work so well together?
Every day being on Brittany Howard's Freedom Team. I think that's a power answer.
I
I
agree.
was about to say the same. Like I just the leaders that I get to collaborate with on my team, like we brainstorm together and they're smarter than me in a lot of ways. And so when we put our heads together, we just come up with better ideas and better solutions and better plans and better content and better training and better everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with what they're saying too. I think for me, it's helped me also to see like what my strengths are because I mean, I don't think I was a very aware person before I started reading books that added value to my life and surrounding myself with people who helped me be aware. But I didn't really know what my strengths were. And so just being a part of a team and having multipliers in your life to help put you where you add value. That has been really helpful.
Yeah.
I agree with that too, Terry, because before I had a team, I didn't really know what my strengths were either. I didn't know until people would give me feedback. And then once I became aware of what I was good at and like what I wasn't and what other people were better at than me, as long as I felt confident that I was good at something, then I would feel like I could be authentic and not have to be somebody else. I could contribute whatever it is I'm good at contributing and still be authentic and not like have that pressure to be more like her or whatever. Like that's exactly what a team is.
Mhm. Well, and I think this team is really great at delegating things too. I've noticed. Like we see each other's strengths and then those people take over those tasks or lead in those tasks, not necessarily take over. And it's really fun to see people shine in what they're good at. And everybody's contributing, and I love that. Anybody else before I move on? Coach Brooks is famously known for saying, I'm not looking for the best players, I'm looking for the right players. I loved that. So, how does that mindset shift the way you think about building your team and your community?
Apparently, I have a lot to say tonight, but that quote I highlighted, circled, underlined because that is so important to me. Like it literally would not matter to me how good or influential somebody is or how big of a team they could bring in or how fast they could grow if I couldn't trust them, if we didn't like share some basic values, if they didn't have integrity. So I would rather work with somebody that I can trust who has integrity than somebody who maybe they do have tons of influence or they're an expert at sales or an expert at duplication, but I can't trust them because I mean that would to me that would feel like okay, they might be a six-figure earner on my team, but they might also be a six-figure earner who jumps ship to whatever the latest and greatest is and takes a whole leg of my team with them plus some, you know. I definitely wouldn't want to build with somebody that I couldn't trust, no matter how good they were at building a business.
I agree 100%.
I have thoughts too. So all of that, everything you just said. But it also, and I don't even know if this answers the question, but this is when I heard that, it also made me think, like, I mean, we all want like a bunch of Christinas on our team, right? I mean, but really, I mean, you think like it's almost like you want to make a checklist. Okay, I want a connector. I want this kind of person, this guy. And it just made me think, okay, I need a bunch of different types of people with a bunch of different types of strengths so I can put them in the place to complete this team as a whole. You know, I don't want, no offense. I mean, if God wants to give me a bunch of Christinas, that is fine. I'll take it, I reckon. But it just gave me more clarity on the type of people and just the different types of people that I want on my team too.
Well, and I agree 100%, Terry. And I think it's just like, I think it's why our team works so well together and why we do so much so well because we are all different and we have different strengths and we're not, the person, but together, well, it's just like what the Bible says about, the body, we're all different parts of the body and we work together. The hand needs the foot, we need the head and the mouth and all the things.
Yep.
And so I think that's really important when we are thinking about our teams and who we want, that we don't just have this one, I just want this person who's outgoing and talking to all the people and, tons of influence or recruits like crazy. We also need the fillers and the quiet ones and the connectors and all of those. We need them all together, just like on a football team, or anywhere else. If you have a whole team of quarterbacks, you're not going anywhere. So I think it's really important that we just recognize that we all have different strengths and they're all important. So for us, as individuals, but also when we're looking for, people to join our team, but then also how we can contribute to the team as a whole.
And Brittany was a master at this because from the very beginning, I remember her like giving us strength finders and free things like, what are your strengths? And then literally with her leaders, for lack of a better term, selling us to each other. And here's a better way of saying that, highlighting our strengths to the rest of the team, like to the leaders, so that we understood very quickly how we fit together. So as a leader, being able to communicate the strengths of your people to the other people on your team is a very quick way and effective way to build the fabric of your team and appreciation for other people's strengths.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I remember when I first started, I mean, just talking to anybody and everybody about the business. And then there were a couple trainings on this, basically. Like you are allowed to get a little picky on who you want working with you. And that really freed a lot of things up and because you want to create the culture that we have here. And there's a reason that we have that. So Ed said when talking about, he was talking about working with multipliers. Ed said, educate them on the bigger picture. How can you better help your people see the big picture of what they're a part of?
I think you constantly have to be reminding people. I mean, Craig Rochelle said it like this, vision leaks. And so we have to constantly be reminding people with our words where we're headed, where they're headed, what, you know, what's available, not just for the individual, but for the whole. And that has to be on repeat. And I'm preaching to myself because here I am. I love vision, and everybody knows that I love vision. And yet I don't remind my team. Do you see what I'm saying? Like we need to have it on repeat over and over and over again because it leaks.
Yeah. For me, I remember, I would say going to convention was probably the first moment. That or leaders retreat. I went to leaders retreat first, but convention specifically, just I was able to see the bigger picture of the heart of the company and the thousands of people who are all working towards the same things. And that was powerful. And then like you said, because obviously that's a once a year thing. And I was kind of struggling with my vision a couple weeks ago, and Christina had me go into ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT all of the things that I love and what I want. And then I asked Chat if in 3 years I'm Diamond and this works out. Like, what does a day in the life of Diamond Madeline look like? And from start to finish, it laid out what life could look like. And I loved that. And so easy, just using ChatGPT that way. I just little plug for Chat because I love Chat. Anybody else?
Well, and I think everything you're saying, yes. But I mean, it could even be something as simple as, I mean, I'm just thinking about some of my leaders in the past, like helping them see how far they've come. Like not just, you know, vision with where they're going, but like just their growth. To me, I think that is eye-opening. Just reminding them of their growth, being that leader that does remind them of that growth, just how they react to certain situations, how they, you know, when it comes to rejection, just I mean, I'm thinking about somebody in particular, just how much they grew in like a year of just the kind of person that, you know, they want to be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good too.
Yeah, thank you.
Owen agrees. Um, Ed also said, challenge them to compete at a high level, often against themselves. So, where might you need to raise the bar and be your own competition? Or how could you raise the bar and be your own competition?
That's a great question. Um, how do you raise the bar? I think you stay in the competition. I think you stay close to the competition. Um, you know, the way to get out of the game is to quit doing the things. So, in order to, you know, to challenge yourself, you do the thing. So, stay with those that are competing.
Close to the fire.
Amen.
And even if it comes down to like your day-to-day habits, like right now, everybody keeps talking about Maycember. Like it is a crazy busy time right now. We had like 4 parties in 24 hours this weekend where I was like, I don't know where anybody is. I think everybody's safe, but like, like I was just like, what the heck? But it's real easy to be like, I might not do this all day, but like I have to because if I want to hit my goals, I've got to bring up the conversation. Hey, I'm at a new party. We're new people. Oh, what do you do? Like, oh, I do, like it's real easy to be like, oh, you know what? I've done enough. But if you look at what you did yesterday and you're not doing as much, like you have to be your own competition on a daily basis. Like, don't go all out for 2 days and then don't touch it again for a week. Like, beat who you were yesterday, or not beat, but at least match or at least maintain, but it's real easy to get distracted right now. I'm talking to myself because I've been distracted for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I'm right there with you. And something that's helped me, I've recently started to do is tracking where my points are at every day. And so then I can say, where did my points end last month? But then also, where were my points at on this day last month? And that's been super helpful. And then I can gauge, okay, well, why are they lower? Why are they higher? Like and that's helped stay in competition with myself.
Alan, I was just going to say, what you just brought it up, but I was just gonna say tracking is a way to raise the bar for yourself, compete with yourself, and hold yourself accountable. Because if you're not tracking, then you're probably not measuring, and you're probably not accountable, and you're probably not getting much results. Or if you are getting results, you won't be able to duplicate your results, which is where the magic happens in this business model. And so I've been taking this Bob Hyland course, and he gives us these trackers every week. And every single week, I have been tracking my activity. And so there's times where you can't lie with the data. Like, I will see the sheet and I will realize, like, oh snap, I dropped the ball on this day, or, I didn't do my basic income producing activities on that day. And I just have to be honest with myself. And so I think the best way to raise the bar for yourself is to track exactly what business building activities you are doing. And I don't mean like business, like the extra things that don't directly make you money, because those things are important, but they're not growing your bank account. They're not growing your business. They're not growing your team. They're not going to help you rank up. The things that help you rank up and grow your points and grow your income is the conversations with prospects every single day, and lots of them, and getting those people off to a new start. I mean, the new people off to a strong start. So like getting a new person to silver, those are like the highest income producing things that you could do, but they're the most uncomfortable things to do. And so those are the things that people tend to want to avoid, but they're basically avoiding growing their business if they're avoiding those things. No matter what rank you are. So tracking is the best way to raise the bar for yourself.
Yeah.
Well, I also think how Brittany always talks about reflecting at the end of the month and reflecting at mid-month and like reflecting at the beginning of the month, reflecting after a good week, reflecting after a bad week. Like, I'm not very good at that. It is a skill set that I am actively having to make myself learn and improve on. And I can't tell you how many times I listen to her Patreons on going back and doing that, because you will think that you did something. And just because I pumped out the numbers, but then when I go back and actually reflect on it, how many of those conversations were good? How many of those conversations were super fruitful? They're still going. Or it's not just about sending the IPA message. Like, I sent the business ask, or I sent the product ask. But when you actually start reflecting on it and trying to figure out, is it actually working, or are you just pumping out numbers? Then it will make you a lot more. You don't have to do as much to get the right result as you do if you're. Does that make sense? I feel like I'm talking in circles now, but does anyone understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, no, I actually recently did that with my products conversations. I thought I had a whole bunch of people who I was in conversation with about the products, and a lot of them I hadn't actually talked to in months and months and months, or they had said not right now, and I hadn't followed up with them. So I thought I had a lot more going on than what I actually did, and I found that out by going through and actually taking stock. Running out of time. So chapter 14 was one more inconvenience. And this one hit pretty close to home because it reminds us that growth often shows up looking like discomfort. Success is not easy or convenient. It requires sacrifice, consistency, and doing the hard things. So, what is one inconvenient task that you've been avoiding that if you did it today could move you forward? Ooh, Sip and Seas, messenger events. For me, I hate to admit it, but it's actually my IPA. It's the having conversations, bringing up Plexus to people that it's not my favorite part. I enjoy social media, like connecting on people's pages, all of that. But that's supposed to be the background stuff. That's not the stuff that's actually moving the needle forward. And so I've been working on putting the actual income producing activities first. So that is mine. And that would for sure.
Valid.
Yes.
You're in good company, honey. It's not my favorite either. I just want to tell you.
Thank you.
It's not my favorite thing to do. Are you kidding me? It's uncomfortable to put it first thing because there are a million things I'd rather do. But the million things aren't going to grow my paycheck or my team.
Yep.
So 100%. And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing that.
Can I
Listen,
just offer some
raise
perspective
your hand.
on this? I want to offer some perspective on this. Because I mean, I haven't loved it either because it is uncomfortable. But what I'm learning from Bob is to create a process that I can love. If you don't have a process for getting customers that you actually have joy in the process, then you are going to hate it. So if you are not loving doing your income producing activity, then you're probably focused on getting a sale versus serving people authentically. And so I do love that I'm learning that from Bob because he is helping me create a process that I'm finding joy in that is very, very focused on helping people. And when you help people, sales are the result. And so if you find yourself hating your IPA or avoiding it, then ask yourself, what's your focus? Are you focused on getting a sale? Are you being too direct? Or are you focused on serving and helping people and truly solving people's problems? Because when you shift to serving people and helping them solve their problems, you do actually feel joy in that. You really do. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Good. I like that. I'm gonna start using that actually. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Well, I would love to hear from you guys, like what a process for getting customers that you actually find joy in look like. I would love to hear from you guys on that. If you don't have an answer to that right now, I definitely think it's something that you need to spend some time thinking about and coming up with a solution for. It's just like working out. Like, you know, if you want to be healthy and fit and look toned and be strong for the long term, that you're going to have to do some exercise. But finding exercise that you enjoy, it exponentially increases your likeliness of being consistent with that for the long term. If you're trying to force yourself to do something you hate every day, like if I had to go to CrossFit, and in my mind, I believe that CrossFit's the only way I can get the result that I want, I would hate life. But if that's not true, that CrossFit's the only option, right? So I have found some processes that I actually do find joy in, and I do enjoy my workouts, and I feel way better when I do work out than when I don't. And recruiting is the same way. So if you don't currently have a process for getting customers and getting business builders that sparks joy for you, then you need to find one. You need to create one.
Can I ask what that looks like for you right now?
Yeah. For me, well, I'm still working on it, but the gist of it would be create content that serves people and solves problems for people. And the ones who engage on that content, strike up a conversation with them about what goals they're working toward and find out what their problems actually are and then solve those problems. So it versus instead of like cold messaging 100 people to say, hey, has anybody shared Plexus with you? Which that does work, but I don't love that. And so I could do that and it would produce results. But I feel way more authentic and full of joy if I'm creating content that serves, and then I'm connecting with the people who engaged on my content or they watched my stories, and I am actually asking them good questions to figure out what their problems are and how I can solve their problems. So Plexus just comes up naturally as kind of a, oh, you have this problem. I have a product recommendation for that. And I'm keep serving people through my content that gets me new leads of people to solve problems for. But it makes me feel like I am actually solving problems versus soliciting.
I like that. That's good. I think I saw somebody said we need to do a training on that. I agree.
Well, and I'm doing the same training as her, but even before Bob, like what was the most, well, what I love the most is when I was in conversation with somebody, not even thinking about Plexus, and we're just talking about life and talking about things, that helps, whether it's parenting or nutrition or whatever. And I hear a problem come up, and then it just turns into that, just like Brittany said. And so what she's talking about eventually, as you learn all of the things, because it's a lot to learn. It's great. It is definitely teaching you to work from a different place. But as you learn all of that, and in the future, as you practice it, that is pretty much what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
It's really, and I've done, anyway, I'm learning a lot of this stuff too, and playing with it. I've always loved asking people questions. And even as I was really studying sales at the end of last year, if you think of yourself like as a professional problem solver, and I've had to do major mindset work on myself with this because I say, it was like, I don't really enjoy this, but when I put myself in the mindset of, and I tell my team this all the time, you are a professional problem solver. You are asking questions to figure out, do they have a need? And do you, how does what I have help them with their issue? Like it really has nothing to do with me. I'm helping you get what you want. And then when I can view it like that and learn to ask questions to figure out what people really want, either in their health or their life, and I'm a professional problem solver, it puts everything in a completely different light. But that's a completely different process than just sending out tons of cold messages. It's slowing down to get a deeper connection and really solve people's problems. And you can't solve a problem unless you know what the problem is. And that's fun.
It is fun. Anybody else?
So I'm just sitting here thinking, like, listening to Michelle's genius words come out. And like, even though she's working on that and she's changing the way that she thinks about it, her results are just going to be so much better because she went into it in a positive mindset. Like, my little girl was going to ride her horse the other day and she kept saying, well, Popsy, what if he does this? Popsy, what if he doesn't? What if he doesn't listen? And my dad stopped her and was like, he's not listening to you 100%. If the whole way to the arena you keep going, what if he doesn't listen? What if he doesn't listen? But if you go into it with a mindset of assuming you're going to have him listening and assuming you're going to have a good ride, you probably are. Michelle's just changing her entire mindset on how she approaches her IPA so that if you enjoy it, it's like when you smile on the phone, people can tell you're smiling. Like she's going into it with a positive mindset, which is going to provide more fruit for her in the conversations.
I'm sending a voice message. Being excited, people can hear the excitement. I agree. Well, it's 8:30. Does anybody have any other thoughts or comments or anything before I close it up? All right. Thank you guys for joining. And I hope you have a great rest of your night and see you in just a bit.